Well, we asked them, and Milwaukee did it. They married the PACKOUT system with the SHOCKWAVE Impact Sockets. Let's see if it's something you want. These SHOCKWAVE Impact Sockets aren't anything new. They've been around a little over a year now. However, being married with the PACKOUT system is pretty new. And it's something we actually asked for when we first reviewed the SHOCKWAVE Impact Sockets, I don't know, probably a year or so ago. And it came in this little kit here, which is great, but everybody said, what about putting it in a PACKOUT box? I think they were probably onto that before we said anything, but still, here it is, 31-piece SHOCKWAVE Impact Socket Set in the PACKOUT container. Let's go ahead, take a closer look. We're going to do some things that hopefully Milwaukee's okay with, and if not, well, here we go. This is pretty cool because we're combining two products. We have the SHOCKWAVE Impact Sockets in the Milwaukee PACKOUT set. This is specifically the model number 49-66-6806, and it's the half-inch SHOCKWAVE Impact Socket PACKOUT socket set, something like that. Anyway, so we're merging the PACKOUT system with the Impact Sockets, and when the SHOCKWAVE sockets came out, everybody said, when are they going to combine these into a PACKOUT system? And so now they have done it. We have them split into SAE and metric, as you can see here. And we have everything from 3/8 all the way up to 1.5 inch in SAE, and then from 10 millimeter all the way up to 24 millimeter, and even including a 3-inch extension. So all of these are half-inch drive. And then we get some storage up underneath these as well. Of course, we get this middle tray for storage also. And it's coming in the PACKOUT system, which gives us a few things. Number one, it's impact resistant in itself. You can bang this thing around, not going to have any issues. We also have a seal all the way around the lid here, so we're going to make sure that we keep all the, the dust and the water out of here. Obviously, you don't want to submerge this, but as far as getting some water splashed on it, you're not going to worry about these impact sockets rusting. One of the awesome features on the SHOCKWAVE sockets, the SHOCKWAVE Impact Sockets, are the embossed numbers there. So they actually are indented and then filled with ink or filled with paint. So they're not going to scratch off as you rub that against something. You're not going to be rubbing that paint out of there. Very easy to see that number even from several feet away. We get the contrasting background of the, we have the black background, and then we have the white number. So again, very easy to see that. Now we also have the number here in laser etching, or we got the Milwaukee and then the actual product number. Over time, that's going to wear off. That just always does. But that indented number there, that paint's going to stay in there for a long time to come. So really like that. We also have a red ring here that you can quickly identify, your sockets. However, I wish that's something, I've said that in the last SHOCKWAVE set that we got before they combined them with the PACKOUT system. And I said they should have done what they did with the wrenches, and that is for the SAE, they had red in the wrenches, and in the metric, they had black. And I thought, why didn't you stick with that, or at least go to a white band on the metric and red band on the SAE? Just something to contrast that. So when you are using SAE and metric sockets, you can quickly identify which one's which. Listen, I get it. We can look at the numbers and obviously tell whether you're using a fractional number or you're using a metric whole number. So I get it. It's not a huge deal. Just kind of a small pet peeve of mine that they're doing it on the wrenches. Why didn't they do it on the sockets? But if that's all I have to live with, then I think I will be just fine. Now, something pretty cool here is that you can remove these to take them to wherever you're working. But something else about this as well is under here, we've got some foam. Now, you can see my foam's already missing some pieces, and I think you get where I'm going with this, is you do get some additional storage. So, I don't know, what's that, 1.5 inches of foam or something that you have to work with underneath these sockets. And actually, you get a little more room up under the cavities of these things as well. And you might have already figured this one out. Got my 1/2-inch drive Milwaukee ratchet, 1/2-inch drive extension, and that's going to fit in there rather nicely. Now, I know what you're asking yourself. You're going, hey, will the stubby or the compact impact wrench fit under there? And the answer is no, it won't. Trust me, we've tried 40 ways to Sunday to figure out how to even cut up some of this plastic or whatever to get it to fit in there, and it just won't do it. It's not quite deep enough. That would be really cool if we could fit an impact wrench in there for impact sockets, but we can't. But I do have something, one additional step. I figured this out. So here's the 1/2 inch M12 fuel ratchet. It will not fit this way. It will not fit in here either. It's too tall for the impact sockets. However, if you put this head first up in the front, tuck it back there, the lid will clear right there. And then if you take the battery, and I don't believe that any of the larger batteries are going to work, but this one will. And so now we can put this back in there and close the lid, and everything's going to fit in there. So that's pretty cool. We can at least fit an M12 fuel ratchet and our standard ratchets in there, or our manual ratchets. And up under here on the other side, and by the way, we'll get to the sockets in just a moment again. That's what it's all about. I have the 3/8 drive SHOCKWAVE sockets. So I've got that stored there in my foam underneath there. So it makes it nice that you do have that ability to cut that foam up and layer it as you need to put in the additional hand tools that you want to carry right here in the PACKOUT and keeping them safe and tucked away. Now on the metric, we go from 10 millimeter all the way up to 24 millimeter with 0 skips. I made a comment on the last set that we had, which is this set right here, and it went from 19 to 21 to 22, and then it jumped to 26 and 27. And I kind of said something about that. So you know what? I like to not have those skip sizes. So now we have 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Now we're not going up all the way up to 27, but I get it. At some point you got to cut that off. But anyway, no skip sizes from 10 all the way up to 24. And on the SAE, the same thing. We've got 3/8 all the way up to 1.5 inch. Now let's take a look at the sockets themselves. All the machining on here has been done very clean. I don't see any jagged edges left. Sometimes you'll see, especially around the anvils and stuff, where you'll see corners that haven't quite been milled or tooled correctly, but these look really clean. And you'll notice also, obviously, your friction ring impact wrenches are going to work fine in there. You also set up for either pin detent as well as pin and O-ring. So if you're whatever way you want to retain those sockets, you can do so with these. You're already set up and ready to go. We also get the reliefs here in the corner, and what that does is that keeps from rounding off the corners on the nuts and on the bolts on the fasteners, and allows the flats of these sockets to engage the flats on the actual fastener itself. So again, that's what those reliefs, that kind of rounded edge on there where that's milled away, and that's going to allow for, again, to have more engagement on the flats of those sockets where it's supposed to be, and not only on the corners of the socket. So these are all 6-point sockets. They're all deep well, and they're all ready for either your friction ring, your pin detent, or your pin and O-ring style. So let's take out our metric sockets here. And by the way, when I mentioned about the wrenches and how they do the wrenches, I mean, just look at this. Look, they have black plastic here, red plastic here. Same way. So they're identifying the black as metric and the red as SAE. I just wish they would have carried that on into the ring there. So let's see what we can do. And by the way, we got one more test we're going to do on this PACKOUT as well. But let's take care of these sockets first. So some of these sockets look a little oily, so I'm just going to wipe some of these off. Okay, now I'm going to bring something in. I know to the untrained eye, you're thinking, man, that looks a lot like a Timberland Pro boots box. Well, that's because your eye is untrained. Because to the trained eye, this is obviously a paint booth. We're going to tape some tape. And we're going to go ahead and speed this up for you. Now we have our white for metric and our red for SAE. Now obviously one of the cool things about this being a pack-out system is that your other pack-out stuff will connect to it. Not just on top, but also on the bottom. So now these are all locked together. We can lock it into one of the wheeled carts. And now we've got our SHOCKWAVE Impact Sockets, we've got our ratchets and sockets, and whatever other tools that we have in here, impact drivers, impact wrenches, you name it, wheel it away, and everything's nice and secure. We can even put locks on here if we want to. It's a pretty cool system, and it's pretty watertight. Let's test that. So we've got our pack-out box, a bottle of water. Nice and cold water, by the way. And let's just go ahead right there on the seam. And let's see how much got in there. By the way, another pet peeve of mine is finding these holes in the trash can. Smush them, tighten the cap, and there you go. Look at that. Things you learn from Shop Tool Reviews. I'm going to open this fast so we don't get any water that's kind of hanging around here. Well, let's try to shake it off. So you see, sockets are dry. Got water lingering around here. And all that water is on the outside. Nothing on the inside. You have to admit that the contrasting colors of the white and the red makes a whole bunch of sense when you're trying to find quickly an SAE or a metric size. And when we were at Milwaukee at the pipeline event recently, I was talking to a couple of the product managers and explaining to them why they needed to do this. And a friend of mine walked up. In fact, it's the Humble Mechanic, Charles, and he's got a great channel on YouTube, by the way, and especially if you're a Volkswagen guy, you probably already know who he is, but definitely check his channel out. But he walked up and we were having the discussion, and he made a comment that efficiency is everything to a mechanic. And so to quickly be able to find these and get the right socket in the fastest amount of time, that's what you want. At the same time, he followed it up with, you know, the last time I used an SAE, I can't remember when. So, you know what? Just because you don't work on domestic stuff doesn't mean that they're out of date. Some of us still work on that stuff. Anyway, my point is, it makes sense to do some contrasting colors here. That's why we played around a little bit. And as you can see, we did some different colors as well. So you can really do anything you want. Really hoping that Milwaukee decides to do something because, like we mentioned, they've already done this on their wrenches and they even color-coded the plastic on these, so it's not something they're not aware of. Anyway, the SHOCKWAVE sockets, these are great sockets. We've been hammering on these things for well over a year, and they hold up. There's nothing that we've had any issues with whatsoever. Love the PACKOUT system. Love the little bit of storage under this. I wish it was a smidge taller so that we could fit a stubby in there or a compact, you know, an M18 compact or some type of an impact wrench in there. But at the end of the day, I get it. You've got to use what you have, and it wouldn't make sense to make a special tray just for these, or maybe it would. We'll have a link in the description for this set. They've got a whole bunch of other sets as well. The PACKOUT system's a tried and true system that works really well. You can see it keeps out the moisture. It's very impact resistant. You can stand on these things basically. Lifetime warranty on the sockets, lifetime warranty on the PACKOUT as well. $250 for this set, and as I mentioned, you get the lifetime warranty. Also, you can find them HomeDepot.com as well as AcmeTools.com and various other places as well. Check those out. Also, keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even TikTok. And if you don't mind, would you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already? And by all means, if you hated our video, then give us a thumbs down. But would you let us know in the comments why? Have a great day and keep smiling.